Now, what I want to talk about today is dealing with somebody who throws you under the bus because this happened to me. Let me give you the situation. There was a client who I had sold. Jonah, you're in marketing. Well, I've been in lots of areas in this business, and this is something that I also do. And this particular client was an electronics repair store. This happened a few months ago, but this relevant came up again today, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And this electronic repair store, they have 20 some locations, and they were contacting us because we analyze and score their calls for them, along with marketing attribution, some other stuff, and they wanted that to know what was happening on their calls. So I had sold them, I had prepped everything, and then we had an onboarding call. And when the onboarding call happened, I had scheduled it, I'd done the prep, I had our chief operating officer prepped and ready to go, and then the call came, and 5 minutes was going on, and guess what? The COO who was running the onboarding call still hadn't showed up. And then guess what happened? 10 minutes passed, and they still hadn't. And these people were upset because they set apart time for this onboarding call. It didn't end up happening. So I said, I'm so sorry. Let me give him a call. I wasn't able to reach him. We didn't answer. And so we postponed. And then we had a second onboarding call scheduled a few days later. And we had it scheduled. I was really sure this time. I made sure, hey, are you going to be able to attend? You are great. You're ready to lead it out. Here's the information. Let's go. And then the meeting came, and I hopped on, and they hopped on, and we talked a bit. And 5 minutes passed, and he still hadn't joined. And then 15 minutes passed, and he still hadn't joined, and these people were pissed. They said, this is ridiculous. We need to talk to him right now. Give me his number because we need to work this out. So I gave them his number. They were able to call him and start to work something out. And then we finally had a third onboarding call where we hopped on. And luckily, this time, our COO did hop on. He got on the meeting, but he started it out in a different way. He said, I am so sorry. What had happened is Jonah didn't prepare the materials. He didn't prep me for this meeting. That's why I missed it. I'm sorry, but we're going to get this right and we're going to move forward. Now, at the time, I was 23. I didn't know that if I just get thrown under their bus by an executive, what do? I don't want to look bad in front of the client. I'd rather keep the client happy. But I just got completely used as a scapegoat for somebody else's actions. And I didn't know what to do. So instead, I just stayed silent and kind of took it. But really, that hurt a lot because I was put in a situation where there's somebody with power who's putting the blame on me when I know that's not true what they said. But if I say it, it looks bad to the client, and I'm the one who gets hurt because I really need this deal to go through because hey, this helps me personally to hit quota. I benefit from a commission, and this commission was going to be $1,500 or so dollars over the course of 3 months. It was payments every few months, and this would make a difference for me, a real difference. So I wanted to make sure it went through. So I just accepted it. But that was really hard because hey, I that didn't happen like that. What do you do when somebody with more power takes a position that throws you under the bus? Well, here's what I did. I didn't do anything because I was 23 and I didn't know what to do. I just stayed silent. A few months pass and I talked about it with them. I said, "Hey, this is the situation. Like, what happened?" We had a little heart to heart. The conversation went well, and then I realized people are going to be people. And all that you can do is do the absolute best you can and document everything so that when the fit hits the shan, when you do get put in a situation where somebody says that you're the one who messed up, even if you didn't, you have data to go back and prove it so you can say, hey, executive team, I know that this is what people are saying happened. Here's the truth. Here's the data behind it. And that's what you can do. And most importantly, that you can't control somebody else's actions, even if you trust them, even if you don't believe they'll ever do that to you, it could still happen and you have to be okay with the worst case scenario. Now, this sounds morbid and depressing and sad, and that's not my goal here. My goal here is to learn valuable lessons about your character so you can grow as an individual, so you can make more money and build meaningful relationships because for me, that's the most impactful thing that I have in my life. How did this help me do that? It taught me how to deal with people who might not have your best interest in mind or might take an approach that's less than ideal towards you, even if it hurts your business. What do you do? Well, here's what I would do next time based on some counsel with a mentor and some personal reflection. In the moment, I wouldn't have done anything, but immediately after, I would have had a conversation with him and said, hey, I didn't want to make a scene in front of the client, but here's what I saw. Is this true? This is the data I'm seeing. How would you interpret this? And then have a very open mind to discuss and see what that looks like so that you can hopefully reach a conclusion where you're not going to be in a diminished in your role at a company or in your personal life, or if it's from an abusive spouse or whatever it may be, a partner. And you can have a healthy conversation about it. And guess what? What if you have that conversation and the person says, no, it still is all your fault. I don't believe any of this. Well, then you're being gaslit. And some people, you'll never be able to change. And I'm not, this person that we worked it out, it's fine. But sometimes you have somebody who doesn't want to accept that. They just want to keep bashing you and making you feel terrible about it. And they're never going to accept that. And what you need to do in those situations is recognize, hey, there's an individual who does not have my best interest in mind, who is intentionally using me as a scapegoat when they know it's not true and they're not admitting it and not changing their behavior. And guess what? Life is too short for you to hang around those people and for you to try and wait for them to change. So what do you need to do? Well, as much as possible, you need to get out of that situation. Easier to say than it is to do. What if you have a job and it's a boss, and right now money is tight and this pays well, and you really don't want to shake the boat? Then you need to decide, is it worth it for me to stand up to this, or am I just going to accept this for now, prep and make changes, develop so I'm more prepared to handle this in the future, and I'm going to take the paycheck while I find something else that works financially for me. Now, this is a situation that I hope that you can recognize in your own life, because this could easily happen with a partner who tries to use something you care about to change your behavior for a negative way. For example, you get home and they say, oh my gosh, you're eating the bag of chips again? I told you this unhealthy thing is going to happen to you. And they try to give you like negative body image issues because of how you act. And if you talk to them about it and say, hey, like, we've talked about this. I'm working through this. This is where I'm at. Can you support me in this? And they say, no, I don't support you, and you're still wrong. Even after those conversations, maybe that's not the right person for you to build a life with. And that's really hard when there's those borders that somebody continues to cross and doesn't want to step back from. But you also need to do what's right for you. Because one of the most interesting things that I heard is, what is a better example for a child? If a mother sacrifices herself and everything about her for the children, or if she manages her own health, her own personal needs, and then takes care of the children. It's putting your oxygen mask on before helping others. It's tough to say exactly what's correct because in each situation, for each person, it's a little bit different. You get to decide. But the point is, if you recognize that, then you can at least be aware of what choice you're making. Because sometimes, if you don't have your own oxygen mask on, you're less helpful to everyone else around you. And even though it seems counterintuitive, having your mask on first allows you to do much more good than if you try to just push and push and push with low oxygen. Because eventually you're going to hit a wall and you're going to go unconscious. You're going to burn out. And then you're going to put your mask on. It's going to take a lot of time to get it back. And you're going to lose a lot more total productivity, a lot more helpful to the people you care about than if you otherwise were able to put the mask on first and go. So, there is the lesson that I learned in business, which is what happens when somebody makes you the scapegoat for their own behavior, and then what I did about it. And hopefully, this is helpful for you if you found yourself in a situation where a peer or a boss or somebody you care about, a family member, tries to do this to you, that you have the ability, the capacity to act in an appropriate way, or at least plan to make amends so that you don't find yourself in this situation. I hope this is useful for at least one person in the audience here.